أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر الميامين ولعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما آحدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Again, it's a tremendous honor for me to be in the midst of the believers here, and alhamdulillah, always fascinated and always I feel very joyful to come here downtown to if you take out the commute, it's always a very nice place to come in, especially in the midst of the believers, alhamdulillah. May Allah bless the volunteers here. May Allah showers His blessings upon everyone that are doing their own part to keep this thing alive. And I think it's a start, and inshallah it's going to go better and better. And Jobi Abravish darling, inshallah it's going to be very fruitful. So just this thing that I just said here, I want to reconnect myself with a very important topic, and that is to be consistent in the things that we do in our life. You know, that consistency is a very important thing. You know, you start a very good thing and it starts, it goes down. How many times that it has happened in our own personal life, in our own individual lives, in the collective lives that we see with other believers, that you would want to start a project which is very positive. You start that positive project, but as soon as you start that positive project, it will go down in few months. Sometimes if you're lucky enough, it can go over a year. But once a year passes on, once a year and a half passes on, then it becomes very stagnant. That becomes very, very like routine thing. And you would only see like few, in the initial stages, you could probably see 20 people coming in, 25 people coming in, 30 people coming in. But a time would come in that it will gradually start dwindling, it starts getting decrease. And a time would come in, you only have 5 or 10 people attending the sessions, right? And I can say from my own experiences, that I have seen in the past, things have gone like this so many times. You would start something very noble. You would start something which is very spiritual. You will have a book club that you'll have few brothers that are going through a book. And then you would have one Maulana or scholar that is leading it. I still remember my days then. Those were one of the beautiful days that I have spent. Probably because I wasn't married, firstly. But other than that, no, it's always a blessing, right? You know, it has its own positives and it has its own challenges, right? But at the end of the day, why do you remember those days? Because you had one of the most selfless people that you met around that time. I wasn't famous, I didn't know a lot of people, I was not known by a lot of people. Whatever friends I had, they were genuine friends. They were friends that used to help me in my spirituality. Those were my friends that we will go and we will hike and we'll go to some beautiful places while the month of spring and while the weather of the spring and the summer would start. Sometimes you'll go to different places, you would see the beauty of Allah Almighty, all of these things you remember. It was a very noble thing that we started, but we could not continue with it. Time came in, it stopped. Time came in, it paused. Time came in, it ceased to exist, right? And you can probably remember so many things. So many groups would have been there in WhatsApp, at Telegram, at different other places, where there was a place that you would want to share your knowledge, where you want to share your experiences, where you want to interact with the brothers, like-minded brothers, where you want to move on to the path of spirituality, and you had some of your like-minded brothers in those groups. But unfortunately, now when you reflect upon it, no one remembers those groups. Probably there will be an odd message for Eid Mubarak or a forwarded message for whatever political or social purposes. Other than that, that group is not serving its original purpose. Happens a lot. And this is when we have to remind ourselves. And I'm always amazed by this beautiful hadith when I come across. It's a very beautiful hadith and it's so connected to our life. It says, قَلِيلٌ تَدُومُ عَلَيْهِ خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْكَثِيرِ الْمَمْلُوءُ عَنْهُ. The smallest act of goodness that you do, provided that you are persistent on it, provided that you do that act of kindness consistently, that is more worthy in the sight of Allah Almighty than a very good action that you do, but you do it for a very short time period. It happens a lot. How many times we have reflected upon our life that, you wanted to start something noble? I think it happens with me every day. Every day I want to be very, very good in my patience and my sabr and my forbearance. I don't want to show the road rage and whatnot. I'll promise my own self. Next thing is I'm going on 401 and there is no wada that I did is in my mind anymore. Why is it so? Right? Why? Because I'm not consistent. I think everyone can relate to these examples in one way or another. You might have a customized version of your own, but you would have a lot of examples in your life. You started doing something positive and it's not continuing. And this is where we have to reflect our life. We have to be thabit qadam. Thabit qadmi means what? We have to be persistent where we are going. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu thbutu idha laqitum fi'tan fathbutu. I remember I quoted this ayah, that when you are about to fight against an army, be persistent, be unyielding. This is when you're fighting with the army, which is external, which you probably would fight once in your life. Maybe if you were at the time of the Prophet, you would fight dozens of the times, but again, it had its own limit. But there's an enemy within me, the base desires that I have, the nafs that I have, the shaitan that is always whispering in my ears. There's an enemy who is consistently attacking me. How persistent I am in defeating it. Allah has clearly mentioned, if you want to be successful, you have to be persistent. The one-time emotional thing that comes in, it is very emotional. It comes in, it goes out. Right? And that's why you see, like, even so many times you would see the couples that will look like they are the best of the couples when they were marrying. Such a lavish wedding and so much spent, and they look like the cutest couple and whatnot. What happens suddenly? 3 months later, both have filed divorce. It's easy to maintain your consistency when it's normal. It is easy to be God-fearing when everything is going normal. It becomes very difficult to be God-fearing when the test would actually come in. Very important. And this is where we have to prepare ourselves. Things will come very randomly. The Middle East of last Friday, is completely different of the Middle East this Friday. The Middle East of Iran, the Iran of last Friday is completely different to the Iran of this Friday. Things are going to be very unexpected. Things are going to come very certain. Some of the most respectful people that you would respect would leave you. Some of the very good people in this earth, they would leave you behind. But we have to be one of those that would not even go 1 iota of meter away from our path, the one that we are traveling upon. مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ. Yes, within the believers, not every believer, within the believers are some men. صَدَقُوا مَا أَعْهَدُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. Those are the people that were completely truthful to the covenant that they made. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ. Within them, there are the ones that have given their life for the cause of Allah Almighty. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. Within them are one of those that are waiting. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. And they have not changed even the slightest while they're waiting for the decree of Allah Almighty. Imagine how important it is for us. Things would come, very unusual things would come in. And you know what, as much as I'm following politics, as much as I'm following the social trends, as much as I'm following whatever is happening in our community and other things, in our families, I can say with guarantee, things are changing very quickly. And things would be unexpected. We have to be firstly those that would be persistent in the normal time, let alone in a difficult time. We're not even consistent when it comes to our normal lives. Right? One day we'll have, next day, it happens with me. And I think this promise I have made with me, with my own self 100 times, that I'm going to leave junk food at least for 2 weeks. Next day, I'm eating it again, right? Again, I'm not even persistent in my normal life, let alone if a difficult situation comes in. Let's be one of those that starts building our life with that persistence that Allah wants us to have in our normal lives. That would be stage one. And make a short goals for yourself. Not big goals, short goals for yourself. Like It looks very difficult to leave junk food in a go, right? So I'm going, instead of having maybe 2 chocolates, I'm going to have 1 bar, right? Let's start with small goals. Because small goals that are achievable, when you would achieve them, you'll have that confidence within you. And once you have that confidence within you, you would be able to take that confidence and then you would go for the bigger goals too. Again, small goals that are measurable, that are achievable, and that will give you some sense of happiness and tranquility once you achieve them. That is very, very important. So inshallah with this, I wanted to reflect, inshallah, in my second sermon, I'm going to mention the beautiful hadith. But important for us, shall we make small promises with our own soul? That can be of any kind. That can be the relationship that I have with my wife. That can be the relationship that I have with my parents. A relationship that I have with my sister. I didn't used to message my sister every month. I would just call her on Eid. I would just call her on birthday and stuff. But gradually, I want to bring a small change. I'll record 30 seconds of WhatsApp message for her every week. Very doable. The time it takes me to go to the parking lot is more than 30 seconds. I can utilize that 30 seconds and just leave her a message. Or leave him a message if you have a brother. Or leave your parents' message if they are living abroad, if they are not living with you. That 30 seconds of message, 1 minute of message, that would mean so much to them. And how much you have spent? Not much. 30 seconds, 1 minute is not much. Every Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to say salam to one of my puppies and one of my khalas and one of my chachas. Start doing it. Very doable, very achievable. So inshallah, this small thing, again, I reflect back on the first hadith that I put, a small act of kindness, a small act of goodness that will persist is better than a good act that you would do. One day you suddenly want to call and want to have conversation for an hours. That's going to burn you out completely. Because the second week would be, your wife will be saying that you talk so much, you have to give time to your family. Your parents would be, you have to go and get the grocery, and all of the things that you did a week before, it's going to go away. Make something which is realistic. Inshallah with this, we can continue on doing good acts of deed, because if you move 1 step forward, inshallah Allah will give you tawfiq for 10 more steps, inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطاهرين. أما بعد. The hadith that I wanted to mention, and before I connect to it, I want to go through a very, want to go through the history. Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam just celebrated his birth anniversary, and we're going to commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, one of the most neglected imams. I think the Shias, by 9th, 10th, and 11th we do it because the last day of Azan. Otherwise, by 9th, 10th, and 11th, Himmat is gone now completely. Who are these? Do we even have to go to their majalises? All of it comes on, right? And I think those are the Mazloom Imams in this sense, that we don't remember them as much as we should. 9th Imam, Imam Jawad. What was his total age? 25 years. Within 25. What an impactful personality he was. Impactful. Someone who was productive. Someone who actually debated different people, different scholars. Debated the faqih of Islam, Yahya bin Aqfam. Not one debate. Kitab al-Ihtijaj, you see of Sheikh Tabarasi, there are I think 3 debates in total he had. 3 debates in total. 2 debates with Yahya, and there was 1 more debate upon another topic. So again, a very impactful personality. And this is how I want to connect myself with the first sermon that I gave. In this hadith I want to mention is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I think it's from Imam Sadiq when he says, Al-mu'minu mu'minan. There are 2 kinds of believers. Not every believer is equal. There are 2 kinds of believers. Mu'minun sadaqa bi ahdillahi wa wafat bi shartihi. There's one kind of believer. He would make a covenant. He would make an agreement with Allah Almighty. And he would be the one that will fulfill all the conditions and all the stipulations of the contract that he has made with Allah Almighty. وَهُوَ الَّذِي لَا تُصِيبُهُ أَحْوَالُ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He is one of those that would not have to confront, that would not have to go through the horror, the dread of this dunya and the hereafter. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ وَلَا يُشْفَعْ لَهُ. He would be one of those that will do the intercession for other believers, and he will not be in the need of intercession himself. So the debate whether Muhammad wa al-Muhammad would do intercession, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, the debate whether they will do intercession or not is a secondary debate. I would say even the righteous follower of al-Muhammad has the power that Allah has given to him, that he can do mediation on behalf of so many other believers. Right? So who is that believer? Someone who was true to his covenant, someone who was persistent. And this is what Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam is teaching us. So many things has happened in his life. Before him too, people used to accuse Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam that he would not have a son. And those were the people from Waqifa. Inshallah, if we have time, we can go through this historical sect of Waqifa. Those people that did not believe in the imamat of Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam. And the biggest objection that they had against Imam Rada was that you claim that there will be 12 imams after the Prophet. You are the 8th imam and you do not even have a son. How would your imamah would continue? And at that time, Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam was born. So Imam said that him being born, Imam Jawad, him being born is the biggest blessing for the Shias of al-Muhammad alayhi salam. Why? Allahumma salli ala. Why is it so? Because his birth was the reason so many people that were objecting against the imamat of Imam Rada, they were not able to go forward with the objection that they were doing. So this is Imam Jawad. And that's why he's called what? Babul Murad. Even if you go to Qadmay, there's Babul Qibla if you're coming from the front side. And if you're coming from the rear side, it's called what? Babul Murad. And most of the buses, when they stop, where do they stop? At Babul Murad. So you go from Babul Murad. So Babul Murad refers to Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Kazim is said to be Babul Hawa'ij. Imam Jawad is said to be Babul Murad. So you have two blessed personalities under the same dome, that if you go and if you have a hajat, you supplicate to Allah Almighty by giving their wasiyah. This is, mashallah, the personalities that Allah has given to us in the personification of Imam Jawad and Imam Qadir. Let's go back to the hadith again. So those are the believers that are very firm. Then Imam mentions further, وَالْمُؤْمِنُ كَخَامَةَ الزَّرْعِ تَعَوَّجَ أَحْيَانًا وَيَقُومُ أَحْيَانًا. And then there is another kind of a believer who is like a new plant, like a new tree. When it comes out, because of the breeze, because of the flow of the air, it will sometimes bend down and sometimes it will be upright. Sometimes it's going to go on the right and sometimes it's going to go on the left side. And this is one of those believers that will be righteous at some time and he would be wicked some other times. He would be acting with the strength of Allah Almighty and would be doing good actions, and some other time he would be doing the bad actions. And he is one of those, وَهُوَ الَّذِي يُصِيبُهُ أَحْوَالُ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. He is one of those that would have to face the dread and the horror of this dunya and the hereafter. And he's one of those, وَهُوَ الَّذِي لَا يَشْفَعُ وَيُشْفَعْ لَهُ. He would be one of those that would not be able to do intercession, but he would be in the need of the intercession on the day of the judgment. So again, now it's upon us to decide. Should be one of those that would be going through all those problems. And when I say that they would not have to go through the problems of the dunya and akhirah, I think a better translation to do so is that they would not be affected by the problems of the dunya and akhirah. There is no believer, but he has to go through the problems. This is a given thing. But there are some people that are affected, and there are some people that are not affected. Inshallah, may Allah make us one of those that are not impacted negatively, and we leave our deen and we leave our iman when we come across those problems. That's why when you go through the history and when you see the way the narrators have mentioned about Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, they say, as people were being martyred, as ashab of Imam Hussein, the companions, The family members of Sayyid al-Shuhada were being martyred. Instead of Sayyid al-Shuhada getting all fussy and getting all like parishan, he would be one of those that you would see only and only peace and tranquility on his face, as more people would be martyred in the plain of Karbala. Muslim bin Awsaja went, there was no change on the face of Abu Abdullah. Habib went, Hussein didn't panic. Ali Akbar went, he cried, but he did not panic. He himself was martyred. The situation was very catastrophic, but there was no panicking. There was no panicking even in the tents of Abu Abdullah too. Yes, they had to go through the difficult situation. But you would not see anyone complaining to Allah Almighty, "Oh Allah, why did you choose us for this difficult moment?" The only thing they would say at that moment was, "Rabbana taqabbal minna hadha al-qurban." Allah, accept the qurbani that we have offered, the sacrifice that we have offered, accept it in your barakah. Inshallah, may Allah make us one of those that are consistent and persistent in our conduct and in our aqidah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على خاتم النبيين محمد بن عبد الله اللهم صل على أمير المؤمنين سيد الموحدين علي بن أبي طالب اللهم صل على سيدتي نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء اللهم صل على سيدي شباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين اللهم صل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي اللهم صل وسلم على القائم المنتظر اللهم عجل وليك الفرج اللهم عجل وليك الفرج اللهم عجل وليك الفرج اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون صلوات على محمد وآل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل